I was the whole week. Yeah, I done put my feelings in the lyrics, got them vibing up. You can hear the pain, my voice, I need some Tylenol. I could never come to picture myself falling off. I'm so cooled up with myself, they think I'm hiding out. When you real, they gon' try to come and snake me for a large amount. I done been so low, I need assistance, got me crying out. I was sleeping on me, talking shit, them niggas crying out. Still got love and I've been patient for my time around. Running doing numbers for some time, I know they see that. I done fell into a hole, I had to let them know I'll be back. Headphones on my head, the only time I go to rehab. It's been a long day, I told her about to lean the sea back. Yeah, I need it going hours and hours and hours, currently sleep. Yeah, I've been riding for hours and hours and hours the whole week. Yeah. I've been hurting for hours and hours and hours. Go deep. Yeah. I've been riding for hours and hours and hours the whole week. Yeah. I haven't found some real love in so long. And when you do it right, it always go wrong.
All right, guys, what's up? What's up? So we are definitely having some X issues. So that's pissing me off right now, but it's all good, right? Right when you need it, issues. So we're up on the YouTube. We're live on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube. So definitely working there. Let's get into it. Right? War news, oil spiking. We got a lot of stuff going on. Fresh new week, fresh new money. I'm ready to get to it. We're not going to let some of this minor setbacks on streaming get to us right now. So let's get it going. I'm going to go over Friday's kind of action, how I killed it on Friday, I'm up 140+% on the portfolio for all of March. And just, kind of dive a little bit more into that, then game plans for the week and setups I'm watching, things I'm going to be looking to go bank with, tomorrow. So let's get into that. First things first, NVIDIA was what I played Friday. It was pretty easy puts, really just puts. At open, waiting for that push up, which we got right there. You can see that wick. The reason why I was waiting for that move was because the low was from yesterday and we had a small daily gap. So we're opening up pretty much like right here at like 170. I wanted to push up to 171, slap those puts, and then for a move straight down to 167 right there. So, three possible $4 drop right there. And we got that Friday. And those puts went from $100 to, almost 300. So 200% on some lotto puts right there Friday. Not really, I didn't decide to press it or do anything else too crazy. As far as, alerts, I did myself play some Apple calls on that first kind of hourly candle. And the reason why is because it was on my watch list. We held this yellow trend line. You can see it right there. We held it for Apple. We played calls the previous day. Apple sometimes likes to go green when the market's red. Either way, I saw this, as it ended up kind of breaking above that 255. I want to see what happened, and it kind of held. And so I ended up playing calls kind of near that top. I actually slammed this candle right here, this 15 when it opened up. It opened up right there, and I got the push up right there on some lottos, and I took the money and kind of ran. It wasn't a big move, but I felt that, I don't think Apple's going to see much continuation with the market really, really pulling down. So that was that. That was not an official alert. That was just something I was kind of playing. And then also some Q puts as well. I actually caught some really nice Q puts right here on this candle as it kind of pushed back up. I caught it on this candle and it held, and I kind of took the money a little bit faster because it moved down like $1 on some lottos, and it was kind of near, midday there. So I took like 10, 20, 30%, just kind of sat back, and then it pushed up, and I was like, likely that they're going to kind of reject this and then possibly break under. But I didn't want to kind of, wait for that or anything. So they ended up, knifing it down. And of course, those puts went super far in the money there. So, whatever. But I do like QQ here. Notice where Q ended up kind of pulling down to perfectly to our 560, 559 zone here. We're kind of still inside of this here after hours. I like this. Right now, all of Pops have been getting shorted. So that's possibly going to be the same trend going into, this week, right? Going into, I would say, is this the same game plans that we're going to be looking for going into this week? Well, last week we didn't have any type of like news or catalyst that were going to kind of like shake us around or anything. So that was the really good part about it. The other thing is, we have a lot of catalysts this week. So that's probably the only kind of major thing. And let's go over that real quick. This is what I'm going to be looking at as far as, this week. Powell speaking Monday. That's like kind of mid-morning ish. Unless he says something crazy, I don't expect too much out of this. JOLTS numbers, 10 a.m. Again, if data is happening after market hours or, after market open, it's not too significant, but JOLTS will push us in a direction. And likely you don't want to be chasing it. You want to be selling it. Wednesday is where we start kicking off, kind of some real data with job stuff, some core retail sales, that's whatever. And then PMI. Unemployment claims is probably going to be the biggest one Thursday. And then we have unemployment rate and all that stuff Friday. So we will see kind of what happens there. It's not significant news. It's just data. And I don't know if I don't think it's going to like majorly mess with us. But again, anything could really happen. The market is always kind of looking out for that data. Just selling off here, right? For QQ, we opened up right under that 572, 570. And we just kind of knifed down. Friday was really good. We just kind of just pushed down, and that was really it. It was really slow, but zone to zone there as far as, sticking to the real cap zones. We're pressing puts. So, again, it's a zone to zone, really worked out, shorting all pops, any type of, upside, short it for that move straight down. And that's what's been working very well. Early in the week, I didn't really touch SPY QQ. And the reason for that was we were kind of sideways, I would say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, and even Wednesday, we were just very sideways. You can see it right there. And so that's where we capitalized off of playing other names. Google was a really good one. The downside, selling off. I was watching this on the 24th. Was that Monday? That was Tuesday. This was a really good day. Google, we didn't go with it, but it was either between this and or Microsoft. We went with Microsoft, sold off really hard. You can see I still have it highlighted there, straight out the zone, $10 drop, boom. We banked off that. Google was the next one I really wanted to go with because we opened up outside the flag there under, that 300 level and just dumped down. Again, if you're unfamiliar, with how I do things, again, look at this flag pattern. We opened up underneath it and we continued all the way down. That was for Friday. That was the same thing. NVIDIA, flag pattern right here on Friday. We opened up under it and we just continued down. It's super simple. So we've been banking all week. For the upside, we played Dell. Dell this week was awesome. We pressed it on Tuesday, pressed it Wednesday, and then maybe you could have pressed it Thursday, but I didn't press it. But those 2 days solid during the week, really, really banked off those. And it felt euphoric for a second there, just like, running. So that was another good staple of our week as far as, banking really heavily during the week. So that was really good as far as, that went. So I'm not going to be looking at Dell this week. It's not really what I'm looking at. The names I'm going to be looking at is probably oil here. I'm now turning my attention right back to oil, specifically Exxon and or Chevron here. Exxon here is up about $4, already at that 175 target. This is new all-time highs. The breakout was at 171 here. We're bull flagging into Friday. You can see that nicely. So I caught it here. I'm watching it going into Monday, see where we open up. If we open up kind of at our targets already, right, I'm looking for maybe a retest hold, right? 173, 175 is my next targets up for Exxon. For Exxon here. So imagine this, say we open up, gapping up here, then we're going to have gaps below. Let's see if they come down, hold, and if they hold, push out. And if they push out, that's where we're going to be entering for that dip on that move into the week. That's what we're going to be looking for. If we fail Friday's area or Friday's highs to hold above it, then likely I'm going to be kind of not looking to press too hard, but just kind of watching for those dips to see kind of what happens. So, but, pretty good move here overnight already. Let's see if it holds. Let's see what happens there. Chevron, same thing, up $4, hitting that 215 mark. That was my next move up, is at 215. Again, if it opens up above these flags and we create gaps, likely we're going to see a move down, retest, and then from there we need to see if we end up kind of holding and or going from there. So that's one thing also I'm going to be watching as well, is to see if we actually get that and kind of go from there. So Exxon, Chevron, those are the two names I'm going to be really watching going into this week as well. Now, say we see some type of upside for SPY and QQ, because right now it's going to be short any pops on SPY and Q and let it fall right back down. If we see any type of move up on SPY or Q, then I'm only looking for this gap fill right here. You can see it kind of highlighted above 570, right back to like 573-ish area, 574, 575 for QQ. That's the only thing I'm really looking at as far as playing calls on the upside, really. I'm not saying calls can't work. I'm just saying I'm only going to wait to play calls unless we cross through that. That's going to be a point where you can slam kind of I would say the move into it this time and, let the gap fill. So that's what I'm going to be watching after QQ. That's already posted for members, and I kind of posted that for free as well on the main Twitter. SPY, same thing. If we end up, I like SPY a little bit better as far as zone to zone clean move here. Has the gap between 642 and 645. So this area with a purple level in the middle. So I like that as well. I know that I can slam calls the moment we break this 642.84 zone right down there. So, we break this right here. I know that we end up breaking that. We're definitely just going to move up to fill the gap and go zone to zone. So I love when things kind of line up like that, because I know I'm going to be, pretty much banking with it easily with it. So we will see about that as well. And that's really the only upside I'm looking for SPY QQ. We will see also what's happening, pre-market and stuff like that. But again, unless we really see, some strength out of maybe an individual name, I'm not going to be looking to play upside other than, oil, if oil continues. So that's one thing I'm going to be looking at. Also, I'm looking around just for like strength, any kind of unusual strength or anything like that. It's one thing I like to do, look around my watch list for a little bit and just see, who's real strong, who's not. We will see about that. Netflix, again, Netflix, I'm waiting on this short for a long time now. It has a huge earnings gap sitting below. It tried to break out. I mean, it did break out of that channel, and I kind of just looked away after that. But, from 91 to 95 in like a day, I wasn't too bad. And this is like news ended up dropping that pushed it out. Of course, you could have shorted that, and we're kind of just pulling back down there. So again, I'm staying very patient for Netflix here. Netflix is going to have to cross under that 90.61 level. The second it does that, I'm taking puts and, just waiting for that drop through that to 87, 88. I got all my alerts there. I got everything there. I got everything ready to go as far as, waiting for that move. So you want my trades, wap.com/Rico Capital. I'm ready. I'm ready for those fresh wins. I'm ready for the fresh wins. No misses this past week, nothing but wins. And so I'm ready to kind of keep it the same, just like that. And, go for it again. And by doing that, we just got to stay very patient and just be very, I would say, aware of our setups, right? Knowing what setups are we're staying patient for, and then knowing what's, something we should really go for and something we should not, just kind of sit back and do less. And that's kind of what has been happening. King of the Open, make our money. And then I'm just like kind of sitting back because I don't really see anything too good. Other than like kind of earlier in the week where we were pressing Dell and, whatever, that was some really good, those contracts went over 1,000%. The first ones we touched by the end of the week. So that's the crazy thing about it. We're looking for those moves. We're looking for that continuation, and oil might be that this week on some of those contracts. So you never know. We're going to definitely keep an eye on that. They're already up pretty big here, and there could be a lot more coming. Finally, we're kind of breaking through these, all-time highs for these oil names. And so we're going to start seeing some pretty decent movement. So also, if I ever, don't see a play or something like that, I could always lean on RioCap AI. That helps me as well too, right? If I'm like, I don't see nothing, it'll definitely, when it calls it out, it's going to call it a play. And I know it's going to be a really good play. Like I know it's going to be, it's going to work. That's the whole thing about it. I know it's going to work. How long it works, that's a whole different thing, right? It could work for, you know, an hour, 2 hours, all day, whatever the case, but it's going to work. It's going to make you some money. It's all about you know, how are you going to handle that trade? So that's the cool thing about it. I know that if I'm looking to make some money, it's going to make me some money. So that's the thing as well. Awesome stuff. Yeah, I'm okay. Okay, so we got some pretty good setups here. We are seeing, you know, red after hours here, and, you know, things kind of just holding down. No real buyers at all. And the crazy thing about this is I fully believe that we're about to see some really heavy selling, because we haven't really seen, like, this is some good selling, sure. Like, this is some good selling and no buyers, you know, stepping up. But we haven't really got to the aggressive selling. This is still like pretty decent selling, but like I said, it's not like aggressive selling where everyone's freaking out. Sure, we're getting to that point where people are starting to freak out a bit, but you know, we're again just kind of pulling right back down. You know, we're finally getting back to like September price action, August, September price action, which is not that long ago. If we really think about it in the grand scheme of things, we could really pull down a lot more, right? SPY could really pull down to 600, and we're at 634 right now. And so if we, you know, go retest 600 again, you know, Q might pull down to 530, 520, maybe 500 again. Who knows? But these are all generational dips. And one of the generational dips that I'm already seeing is TQQQ, triple leveraged QQ. Again, you know, this is sitting at $38, $38. And I thought this was a deal at $50. And so I'm so glad I'm not in this right now. And I'm so ready to buy this dip. The low it went last year around this time was $17. So if I can snag this up in anywhere in the 20s, I think that would be such a win. Low 30s would still be such a win, but like in the 20s would be such a win, I think. And then again, you know, you see how what happened, hit down, you know, 1738, 1738 as was the low in early 2025, and then rocketed to, you know, $60 there. So 246 again, you know, 200%, you know, really good move, you know, just to be able to sit back and let it ride again, you know, for something so cheap too. Like that's the beauty about it, right? And you're holding QQ. So I mean, that's the best thing, leverage QQ, which is awesome. So that's definitely something I'm ready for this. Actually, I'm ready. I want to load up 1,000 shares. I want to load up, you know, a good amount of shares. I want to time this a little bit, you know, right. And by that, I mean, I wanted around the 20s, like high 20s. I'll take that. Low 30s, I'll take it, but high 20s, mid 20s, ideally 20, that would be amazing. I don't know how low we'll go or where that will go, but you know, this is something I'm definitely going to be watching and ready to load up. 30s doesn't sound too bad. Low 30s, not too bad. From there, that's where Armageddon is going to start, and people will start freaking out big time. And that's where, you know, going to be looking to load up. Hood is at $66 after a high of 153. Euphoria is completely gone here on this name. And this is amazing, you know, seeing stuff like that. This is really good. Some of these names are generational moves, but some of these other names are not, right? Some of these are just the bubble popping, and they might not ever get back to that price again. So that's why you got to be very careful on what you're buying. TQQ for me is a no-brainer. From there, it gets a little bit, you're going to have to do a little bit more of technical analysis when it comes to some of these other individual names. And I mean like a real thorough background check of the financials. Like you can't just be investing in some of these names without looking through their financials. That's probably the number one thing that drives this stock. Is just looking at their financials. So we would have to see, you know, what happens there. As far as I have all these zones for MNQ, but we dropped right into a zone right now, and we're kind of holding it for here. Would like to see if they end up holding it, if we push it back up. Regardless, Monday is going to look really good. I'm trading live. So, of course, if you want my trades, guys, WAP.com/Rio Capital. Join. Top members get access to my live trading sessions. Members also get access here and there on certain days. And I think I'm going to be doing a couple free days as well throughout the week. This week, for any type of members, all members, if you have access to the Discord, then you have access to my live channels or whatever. And you can get in there and, you know, listen to me trade live. I share my screen. You know, I share the options I'm taking, my setups, everything, all of it in there, ready to go just for you guys. So all setups are posted. Everything was good. Game plans are posted. Let's see what happens here. We're seeing a little bit of kind of like a hold here, not really going much lower, but, you know, overnight, we'll see what Powell has to say Monday. And then we'll tread very lightly. But again, this starts getting very tough to play with SPY and QQ when we're seeing, pretty good selling. TQQ is one good name you can play if you want to inadvertently play QQ. If not, some of these individual names are where you're going to have to find a little bit of safe haven. We're going to be looking at oil stocks and just staying away from juiced contracts, knowing what to do and how to, surf this. So, yes, I'm up about 8%, 146%, whatever the case may be. And Monday, I'm ready to close out this month, and I'm, ready to keep it pushing. Yeah, about 149%. Yeah, so let's see if I can end this month 55%, with Monday and Tuesday being the last 2 days of the month. Should be good. Again, I'm prime example of, King of the Open. I've showed you guys 3%, 5%, 2%, 1%, 4% on my daily portfolio every single morning, showing you guys. I think the largest I did get one day was 36%. And I think that was the swing on some Amazon puts. Woke up, cash out. That was really good. Other than that, I'm banging 10%. I'm banging 5%, 3%, 2%, 1%. All of these daily, and it all stacks up, right? It all stacks up. If you got 10%, every single day throughout the month, every single day, right? You're over 300%. So think about it. Anything less than that, you're still getting over 100%. It's just compounding and letting it go. So that's the huge thing when it comes to making your money at open. And then sitting back for the rest of the day. Are you okay with that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% on your whole portfolio? Are you okay with that? Because that's going to turn to 100+% on the month, right? I'm up 100, 149, 150%. And that's just from staying patient, and being the king of the open and making 1 to 5% or 1 to 8% on the whole portfolio, depending on the first play, how well it works. And that's that. Then you sit back, do less, and let it compound. So that's how you do it, guys. Anyways, all right, done for this streaming session. We got everything ready to go. I'm trading live in the morning, and then let's do this. Let's do it. All right. Appreciate y'all showing up, guys. Have a good rest of y'all's night. I know X is not working, so bummer, but all good. We have YouTube, and YouTube does the job when the job needs to get done. So awesome. All right. Appreciate y'all showing up, guys. Have a good rest of y'all's night. Game plans are set. Everything's ready to go. Let's get out there, stay green, and make our money. So I'll see you guys on the next video.